Okay, now it says I'm live, but now I'm sure nobody knows how to find this broadcast. I don't know what happened, but I just initiated the live broadcast that I promoted all day, posted invites to everybody, and apparently I must have hit the go live button twice or pressed the wrong one. And about 20 seconds after I started, the broadcast started playing over from the beginning in my headphones. So that's why I stopped. And those of you who caught that and were able to find this now, I appreciate it. But it's Bill Murphy for Inside the Home Theater, doing a little YouTube live update from our studio, our hybrid studio home theater demo room, where we have all the beautiful Mag Theatron and Arvolution equipment on display and ready for you to experience with your own personal demo. We've got the whole routine down now, so you're invited to our home theater anytime you'd like to come in Fort Lauderdale. All you got to do is give me a call, tell me you're in town, or you got an hour or so to spare that you want to sit down and really experience the immersive experience that is in this room. With the Mag Theatron speakers, we're going to go into detail about Mag a little bit later today. I have a guest with me, but it's not a person. I've got a product to interview and show you during the course of this broadcast. But a few things that we're going to take a look at is the new website that we've just launched, and a little background story before we get into the website and how we got to this place. And I appreciate everybody that's accepted my invitations to like the new website without even understanding at all what's going on with that thing or what it's all about. But the deal is, for the last 5 years or so, I've been working very closely with a company out of France that set up distribution for a very prestigious brand. Originally, it was Zapiti, which is a high-end media player and is still in existence more or less as the Arvolution brand. That's how it evolved. But over the course of the years, we dealt with Magnetar and Revon Blu-ray players, where I got extensive experience with both of those and really learned the whole Blu-ray playing field. And the Zapiti brand eventually evolved into Arvolution. And earlier this year in February, our company, Let's Get Physical Distribution, decided to pull out of the distribution part in the U.S., and we've handed over the distribution to a company in New York. And as a result, I have kind of been left on my own as an independent dealer for Arvolution. And I can assure you that I can give you as much personal customer support on that brand as anybody can right now. Our friends at AV Science in New York, who are doing the distribution now, have a bit of a learning curve to get there to understand all the little things that can happen in the Arvolution world. And they're passing along a lot of that customer support to me until they can really get the ball rolling on their own. And I'm happy to help out. So if you're a current Arvolution or Zapiti owner, feel free to reach out if you have any questions about what's going on. There's been a lot of development in the Arvolution product world, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. But as a result, being a new dealer on my own, I have started a new website, a new entity, and I can share the website with you as we officially launch it today. I want to give a quick heads up, a big shout out to the guy who's been helping me with my website, Mark Bateman, who is my good friend. Now he's my good friend. I originally hired him to do my website. He was a Arvolution customer, or is an Arvolution customer, and has done a beautiful job setting up this website. And I'm going to go ahead and share it with you now. And let's see. Where's this? So here we go. We're going to share the murphonics page there. I'm assuming that you're seeing all of that here. Let me just take a quick look. Yeah. Okay. So here is our home page for Murphonics Home Theater, where we have listed the Mag Theatron, Arvolution, and digital movie boards. I was going to keep that a surprise till later in the show as we welcome them on board to the lineup of our great products. And here you can browse all of the Mag Theatron products. Featured in the Mag Theatron section of the website is the beautiful setup that we have here in our demo room in Fort Lauderdale, including the M8, the Hammer 15, two of those, the S8 surround speakers, the L&R, the M8's L left and right, which have those special towed-in waveguides there. We have old broadcasts that we did on YouTube Live that explain a lot of the magic of these speakers in detail. The CS44 ceiling speakers that we have in here, the Atmos speakers, and the amplifiers, the 1200 is running my center channel alone with just one of its channels. And then I have the 3200, 1600 watts per channel, Class D Mag Theatron amplifier running my two Hammer 15 subwoofers. Plenty of power for both of those with a lot to spare. Now, the TQ 3000, 4000, and 8000 amps are extremely powerful 4-channel amplifiers from Mag Theatron that are right up there with the commercial amplifiers they make in their Mag Cinema and Mag Audio company. It's very, very commercial level equipment. And these, for instance, the TQ 3000 is 4 times 750 watts. And the 4000 is 1,000 watts per channel. 8,000 is 2,000 watts per channel. I'm using the 3,000, 2 of them, to run my left, right, left rear, and right rear, or I should say left surround and right surround, and all 4 of my Atmos channels. And all of those speakers are rated somewhere between 150 and 300 watts, and they're getting 750 watts of power in there. And you can feel how much headroom is left over, how much spared power there is, and yet how clear everything comes out, especially out of those Atmos speakers. It's a beautiful experience, and I urge you to visit. Also, we got a great a new Facebook page. So if you're on Facebook and you're already friends with me there, just take a like to the Murphonics Home Theater Facebook page. Of course, you get a lot of clout in this online world just from getting those likes and those follows. So we appreciate that. What's up, Easy Heat HT? I'm going to check in with you guys later. Appreciate you checking in on the show. That's why I'm only going to do about a half an hour here. I'm going to definitely check in with the Home Theater Hub. I do believe they have an episode coming up later this evening. But I'm here to take care of you as an end user of Arvolution. And of course, the main goal is to get these Mag Theatron speakers in front of and behind as many ears as we can so that you can experience it. You can only explain a speaker and how great it sounds with words, to a point where it's just useless. You can only experience it for yourself to know. I've done my best to try to come up with the words to describe it, but it's not. I sat down last night, actually made a big discovery, and I don't know, and this is just coming off the cuff for those of you who are in Atmos setup rooms and if you experiment with placement. Last night I made a very, very huge step in this room when I decided to try. Now, I wish I could give you a shot of this, but I do have a fixed second camera on my product guest that we have in a little bit. But I wanted to, so if you imagine sitting in a theater seat, let's use mine for example, 3 seats across, you're in the middle one, a little bit farther back from center of the room. Now, the rear surround speakers are over your left shoulders behind you. I know some of you have experienced this, whether you have them at the same height as your fronts or whether you even have them up a little high. Sometimes material that is coming from the rear channels, and specifically when I talk about 5.1 music or Atmos music, sometimes you will hear content that's coming out of the rear speakers and you'll be tricked into thinking that they're actually coming from the front. And that's probably because of a reflection off of the front of your room that's coming back to you a little delayed or almost at the same time as similar content coming from the front speakers. And sometimes you have to focus in and turn around and go, oh yeah, that guitar is coming from the right rear. Now, it's supposed to be a little bit more discreet than that. And I was always, since I don't have rear surround and surround, which would solve that problem by putting you'd be able to toe in or actually almost go 90 degrees if you wanted with your surrounds, and then your rear surrounds could be flat off the back wall coming back, and those 4 channels work a lot better to direct that sound so that it really does sound like it's coming from behind you. But what I did was simply toe in my S8 Mag Theatron rear surrounds, or surrounds I should say, I don't want to say it right, they are my surrounds, right, since I'm only 5.2.4. So in the back, they were basically pointing straight back at the front wall, and I just turned them almost a full 45 degrees inside. And it's as if rear left speaker is aimed towards my right, the inside edge of my right chair. And the left rear speaker is aimed at the right inside edge of the left inside edge of my right chair. I hope that makes sense. And what a difference. It's not going across the room like you would fear. It is definitely making that left rear content that could sometimes be mistaken for front. Now you're sure that it's coming from behind you every time. And especially with the tweeters, these S8s for Magtheatron are designed so that the waveguide points the high frequencies down towards your listening area, so they can be mounted a lot higher, which is great. They get out of the way of being an obstruction physically on the wall, and they also, but you can mount them flush into the wall as well. And they also, in the case of side surrounds, when that speaker is a little close to that side seat and is at ear level, it can be a little distracting. To have that one up a little higher does, when you can point it back down into your listening area, it does make a lot of sense. So I did notice that, if you're getting a little bit of a phantom, sounds like it's coming from the front scenario with your rear speakers, your surround speakers, don't be afraid to tow them in. And don't be afraid to tow them in farther than you think you would have to, because they definitely are pointed at my main listening position and still very discreetly. One is left and one is right. Okay, so now let's move on to that was just kind of added in here at the last minute. It was just something that I actually experienced last night. Now, there are some new Magtheatron products that I wanted to tell you about. I did not get them posted on my site in time for this episode, but the CS44 Atmos speakers that I showed you that I have in my room, now there has been 2 more products added to the surround line for Atmos, and they are flush-mounted speakers that go inside your cavity above the ceiling. So those of you that have lower ceilings than you would really want to have, the CS44 doesn't really work, because now you're bringing that ceiling down a little lower as they're surface-mounted. But they do have flush-mounted solutions now in 6 and 8 inches, I believe. And I would give you more detail on those particular products, but I don't have them on my website yet, and I'm not as adept on sharing the screen here. We could do this real quick, man. Let me see if I can do this. I'm going to share the screen, and I'm going to go to Magtheatron. It's not up there, so okay, never mind. We will get to that later, but that's very exciting stuff. But first and foremost, this basic system that we have set up, it is the lowest of the lowest tier of the performance series from Magtheatron, but it is no slouch. This, I can say it a million times or with as much emphasis as I want, but you'll never get the point until you sit here and experience it. It is like sitting in a commercial theater, as it should, because the products that come from Magtheatron are, descendants of their commercial and commercial cinema and speaker array systems that they've been making for decades. All right, we have a new brand in town, so I'm going to invite my guest to the program. The Digital Movie Board. I'd like to say hi to JD for sending me one of these Digital Movie Board Pros. I've finally got it set up with my Arvolution library. If you don't know about digital movie boards, it is a way for you to display the content of your theater. If you have a very elaborate theater that has a lobby, or if a space, just a door outside of the theater room in your home, all you need is a 43-inch screen like we have here. I have it very temporarily set up against one of my walls here. I have not mounted it to the wall yet. I have not found out the ideal location to put it in. I don't really have a lobby per se, and the door into my theater, the back door, if you will, goes directly outside. So there's no way I could mount one of these outside on my patio unless I found some weather solution or got a panel that was, resistant to Florida weather, and I don't think anything is resistant to Florida weather. But this is what happens outside of your room in your lobby that shows the mode I have it in is the live view now, which is it hooks up to your network. You enter your Arvolution credentials into the Digital Movie Board app, and it will extract all of the data from your cloud of your Arvolution collection. It is available in 3 different storage sizes, and it is like it is doing now. It is scrolling through the library that I have in Arvolution. But the very, very cool thing about this is, and of course now I didn't put my remote close by. Now, the very cool thing about live view is that while so let's say you have a media room that's outside of your theater, pool table out there, a little bar set up, and you have people that hang out while several people at a time go into the theater and watch, or everybody looks like, everybody gets ready for showtime. How customizable this is in the, do I not have this set up correctly? All right, let's see. When you're in our video and you select a movie and it becomes showtime, I'm going to go to a 4K movie here. And I'm going to go ahead and start, let's see, The Bourne Ultimatum. All right, so I'm going to start this movie. Now watch what happens in the other screen in our video on my digital movie board when this movie starts. So now I've got it on the staging page in Arvolution. It's ready to go. I press play. And if I've got this set up correctly, you're going to see it switch to now playing. And it'll show what is going on. Now, I don't know why the top hasn't switched to now playing. JD, if you're watching, tell me what I did wrong. But that is the mode that... let's turn this down before we get sued by Universal. Okay. So, as if they're watching. So, let's see. So, if I go into the app, and again, this is a product that I'm still really getting my hands on for the first time. I'm going to playback settings, and I'm going to select... no, I'm not. I'm going back to the R video plugin. And now I'm going to tell it to play in poster view. And I'm going to save changes. Now this is poster view, I believe, is just a scroll. Now I've actually changed it, and it's just going through my library. It's coincidentally showing the Bourne Ultimatum right now. But let's see what's happening since it's playing. But all right, I should have mastered this a little more. But I was very surprised at how quickly the system did set itself up. As soon as I put the plug the HDMI from the DMB Pro into the panel, it figured out its orientation and put it, what is this? Vertically, like it was supposed to, and even in the right direction. It wasn't upside down or anything. So that is done automatically. All right, I'm going to switch back to live view and save changes. And now it's going through my library again. And so there's customizable banners. My camera moved here. Let me just nudge this up a little bit so that little bottom part isn't obscured. There we go. And there you see the basic banner at the bottom says box office, but that is all customizable. I can go in and tell it to do a different banner, and I threw together a couple of, basic banners for myself that I created. Now that's a PNG file that I created, and I just put it in there. Of course, I could dress that all up with an animated GIF so that it has the movie lights and stuff going around it. But that was just something I did for fun. I made a much lower key version of that as well. So you can go in there and do this with the IP app. There's just a basic murphonics home theater along the bottom, and then I'll just go back to the default one that it comes with, which is just box office. Now, the only thing I'm doing wrong is that top banner is not saying now playing while the Bourne Ultimatum is playing, but it is obviously staying on that poster on the front. So let's see, select top banner. Is yeah, no, okay. So I will obviously master this a little more in time for the next broadcast when we show you more about the digital movie boards. But those products. All right, yeah, I am back now. Okay, that was very strange. Available at murphonicshometheater.com. You can order the DMB Pro right away, and you can get started for as little as $7.99. And if you have Kaleidoscape, you can integrate this. Even if you just want a basic poster display that'll go through your library and not be as interactive. There's also the Nano, which I would give me some time to learn more about the products. This is brand new. I've only sold my first couple of them, and I'm making sure that I have as much experience with these so that I'll be able to answer all your support questions as we go. And you can also reach out to JD at Digital Movie Boards at their website as well, digitalmovieboards.com, I believe. And you can reach out to him for more information, but you're always welcome to purchase it at Murphonics Home Theater. Our e-commerce store is not complete at the website, but you'll see all the information on how to get in touch with me, and you can just reach out to me, and we'll take care of you if you want to get the digital movie board set up in your situation. It's now the cool thing is that they also offer all-in-ones with the panel itself, which includes a very high quality Samsung 43-inch or 55-inch panel, but it's built into a custom box with your selection of custom frame styles, like a black leather or a metallic. There's LEDs built into that frame, and it is all in one with the media player inside that frame, so that it is a much easier installation and a much more professional commercial theater appearance kind of thing. And right at around $2,000. You can pay extra for the extra storage, the larger capacity DMB Pro, depending on the size of your collection and how much data you need to put in there. But that is the deal with that. You can where's my digital movie board? My guest ran away. Now we're going to add him to the stage there. There we go. So it is actually showing that the Bourne Ultimatum is playing, but it did not switch to now playing up top, which it is supposed to do, and I'm certain that's just a setting that I got wrong. Now let me exit out of the movie. And now if I exit out of the movie on my Arvolution Player 1 8K, and now it goes back to just scrolling through my collection. Now, you can also set up a schedule on there. You can do a custom screen where it says upcoming performances. Build your own screen so that you can say, it'll have line items on there of with poster art as well. Bourne, we'll have Lucy on Tuesday night, Pulp Fiction Friday night, Saturday night at 8:30. You get show times and all of that, depending on how busy your theater is. But there you go. There's the digital movie board DMB Pro. Again, available through Murphonics Home Theater. And we're proud to have become a dealer of those as well, to join Mag Theatron and Arvolution in our arsenal of brands. Now, we have had some feedback from some Mag Theatron owners, and of course, I don't know if those of you who caught the reviews done by Jordan at Haterade Cowboy Cinema, got to get that name correct. It did a pretty in-depth look at not only the Hammer 15s, but also the 21s that Mag Theatron offers. Not an ideal situation, as obviously that equipment is bigger than his whole room. And his room, I believe, is even smaller than mine. So at one point, he was running two Hammer 15s and the DMB, the 21 in the rear of the room, or I'm not really sure of the configuration he had, but it was overwhelming. And I'm sure that Jordan wasn't able to get to a level that really showed off what those subs can do. I've heard some feedback from a customer who is putting together a system in the state of Washington right now, who is planning to use 4 Hammer 15s in his setup. And we are looking forward to very soon getting a review from Audio Science Review. Amir has his hands on a couple of Magtheatron products. He's going to measure them, put them to the test, make sure that their curves and all their graphs line up and all their specifications line up with what Magtheatron publishes, and of course give his review on that. So we're looking forward to that. We're very confident that that's going to turn out to be a big thing for Magtheatron to get that kind of a seal of approval. So that's what we're looking at. I was really going to only spend a half an hour here just to update people. Urge you to give a like to my new Facebook page at Murphonics Home Theater, and visit murphonicshometheater.com. If you have any questions on any of the products, you can ask me about that there. There's forms to fill out, and obviously my phone number is right there on the page as well. Another piece of Magtheatron news about the Hammer 15s. These subwoofers are creeping into the market, and they're going to be discovered by all the subwoofer fanatics that are out there. There has been such a craze and an emphasis on subwoofers lately in this market, and you guys know what I'm talking about. You've seen the reviews. You've seen the rooms with the 2018s. I mean, 821s, these gigantic walls of 18-inch subs all stacked up on top of each other, and this ungodly amount of bass that these people are experiencing in these rooms, and I'm sure it is incredibly impressive. It seemed to have started when I was at M-Wave and I went into that JTR room, which was just overkill. And I'm not saying it in a bad way. It's just more than anyone would ever really need in real life. And the truth of the matter is, in the room that I saw, yes, you do need to review the subs. You can come over and borrow mine and then bring them back. How do I explain this? The experience I had in the JTR demo room at M-Wave, and they didn't even have a ceiling that could accommodate that, because the whole ceiling was rattling the entire time everything was playing. So that's not a real life experience scenario to get a decent idea of what the subwoofer sounds like. But I listened to probably, I think, 8 of them at the same time. I think they were 24-inch subs, and now I'm in a much smaller room, but of course it's treated adequately, and the 2 Hammer 15s fill this room with enough pressure and noticeable headroom left over that I couldn't even imagine adding 2 more, much less, even one more 21 in the back of the room. At some point, the level of bass is so clean that you can't help but run it at 6, maybe 8 dB higher than the rest of your content. And you're really losing a lot of the rest of what's going on when that happens. It's a beautiful physical massage-like experience, but the same thing can happen at the right level with correctly tuned subs with the headroom that the Magtheatron Hammer 15s have with the TDC 3200. They could adequately run from 2 channels of a TQ 4000 as well, getting 1,000 watts per channel there. But one thing I did learn recently is there's a special data sheet. Those of you who have been checking out the Hammer 15s, or if you happen to have your hands on one, if you're somebody in Europe that's already using them and don't know this, there's a data sheet on the Hammer 15 page that you can download that shows what to do in the DSP for a special setting to enhance what they can really do. And what it amounts to is a very sharp, not very sharp, a medium width bell curve at 16 hertz, at 20 hertz, and at 36 hertz, I believe, somewhere in that area. And the boosts are as high as, I think, 4 and 3.2 or something. And there, it does make for a nice couple of mounds on the left side of there that you might think that it would be excessive. But what it does is just perfectly accentuates the frequencies in a way that you end up with a wider spectrum of low frequencies that impact you. And I don't know the better way to describe that. On a typical subwoofer, that's not particularly well tuned. And even in some high-end subwoofers that I've heard, I've noticed that the impact frequency is sort of in the same neighborhood the whole time. The frequency that'll hit you, the frequency that goes up your spine and it kind of rattles you in your hips a little or whatever that is, or moves your seat. It sort of does the same frequency or stays in at least the same neighborhood of frequencies the whole time. With the magnetotrons, I've noticed that you've got different areas within that low spectrum that all have impact, and they're discrete from each other. So you've got the difference between a Godzilla roar and a foot stomp. Obviously, the roar, isn't supposed to have as much of a deep impact as the stomp. But in some cases, in an incorrectly set up room with a not so great subwoofer, both of those moments would have the same sort of frequency neighborhood enhanced. And the magnetotron, it's distinctly different, distinctly discrete, and you're getting just as much power and impact from the higher end of the low frequency spectrum as you are from the low. And it's equal. And when it goes down to those really, really low frequencies, the seats in my room, I've had many people ask me if there were drivers on the seats, and there's definitely not. There's a tactile experience coming straight from those subs. So there's an extra tweak for those of you who are interested in the Hammer 15s. The reason I mentioned is that because I had been running them in here for about 6 months before I learned about this EQ curve. And when I did it, the experience is just a whole new level. Even though it was already the best I'd ever heard, it just boosted it up to another place where everything else in the whole listening spectrum is so much clearer and so much where it needs to be, because the sub is pushing where it needs to push. Oh, and then the thing I noticed is that on my input levels on the AVM 70 and my on-the-fly adjustments, I'm no longer in that +3, +4 zone with the subwoofers. Everything is pretty much sitting on 0, which is great, because once I do the room correction and everything is set to 0 and all my distances are correct, I really hear enough bass now. That wasn't the case before. I would always need to boost up 100 and below, or up 3 or 4 dB, or at least that on-the-fly subwoofer control on the AVM 70 app. I would have that at +3, +4, maybe +6 sometimes. And now if I creep up to +1 or 2, it starts to get into that area where it's more than you need. So that was a very exciting discovery. And one final thing to share with you as we're going 32 minutes now. So I'm going to cut out, invite you to like my Facebook page, visit the Murphonics Home Theater, share it with anybody you know that is contemplating building a home theater project. I can help them with the process from start to finish. I'm available for all your consultation needs and help you find the right designers and the ways to design it, and what equipment makes sense in your place and which doesn't. One thing you can learn from me as a dealer is that I will never try to sell. Oh, and another thing I wanted to mention was that I'm not going to be afraid to talk about other brands that I don't work with. I plan on having guests on this show from other brands, and talk about the differences between those brands and our brands and the products and the pros and cons of both, because there's always going to be a situation where you'll explain to me what your needs are, what your setup is, what your collection looks like, and what you need. And I won't sell you a player that you don't need, and I will be happy to recommend another brand that makes more sense for your application, because I think in the long run that's the best thing to do. And speaking of products, there is one final thing to let you know about the Arvolution products. Is for obvious reasons with what's going on in the world today, there was a necessity to raise the MSRP on them just a little bit. So the new retail prices for the Arvolution products, I don't have these laid out on a display to show you, so I'm just going to read them off to you. The Player Mini now has gone from $349 to $384, so that's not a big. I believe that's 10%. So then, yeah, as I look at these, it does look like 10%. The Player 1/8K has gone from $899 to now $989. The Player Pro 8K has jumped from $1399 to $1539. And there's been no change in the MSRP on the Arvolution NAS storage. So again, the Player Mini 384, Player 1 8K 989, Player Pro 8K 1539, and the Arvolution NAS storage 2699. All available at murphonicshometheater.com. And you can give me a call. And again, I'll help talk you into the right player. I'll let you know if the Pro 8K is a better choice than the Player 1 8K. That's not a simple yes or no question. That obviously depends on your situation and your needs and what you plan to do with storage and such. And then as far as Magtheatron goes, with that company being in Ukraine and the tariff situation not terribly affecting them at the point that it looks to me like Ukraine has, and everything is sort of on hold now anyway, but it looks like Ukraine is going to be hanging on to the same tariff percentage that they had before. So as far as I know, there has not been any increase in any published manufacturer's suggested retail price. And the MSRPs are staying right around the same. There may be some effect on the VAT down the line that would affect the bottom line on it. But as far as the Magtheatron speakers go, they are made to be a match set. So if you are looking at the Magtheatron, we highly recommend that you consider and at least demo and try out an entire system of Magtheatron. And of course, when you're buying, 7 or 9 or 13 different pieces, a lot can happen with the price in that way. There's a lot to work with in those situations. So we'll be happy to talk to you in detail about that. Again, at murphonicshometheater.com, we have the Magtheatron amplifiers and speakers that we are currently actively using in our demo room in Fort Lauderdale here at my house. And you're free to come by and check those out. All the products are obviously available. And to be honest, there's some Magtheatron products that I have not yet personally heard. And I will do my best, except for I do have a pair of M15s. So sometime in the near future, I will set up the M15s very temporarily because they're way too big to live in my room permanently. But since I've got a grasp on the sound of the M8s, I can listen to the M15s, which are very similar in character to the M12, and I can give you an idea of what the difference in sound is of them. Of course, they have a bigger watt capacity, power handling capacity, and are designed for a room much bigger than this. But we're slowly but surely getting our hands on more products from Magtheatron as the orders come in, so I will be eventually hearing all of them. But I can speak for these 13 speakers that are in, or 11 speakers that are in my room now, for sure. And I highly recommend them. I think if you don't give yourself a chance to sit down and listen to these things, then you're losing out on an opportunity, because it is quite the experience. Anybody who's been in this room will tell you about that. Again, thanks for checking in and tuning in, and please share this episode, as it of course will sit on the Inside the Home Theater channel for as long as forever. So you can feel free to share a link to this and share it with your other home theater enthusiasts, friends. I invite those of you from all the home theater review channels that may be tuning in here to reach out to me, and please jump on my show. Tell me all about your show and all about your products. I'm happy to share with other dealers as well, so I can learn about other products. And of course, anybody's welcome to be a guest on this show at any time. The more content, the better. Digital movie boards, as you see on the other screen there, and we've got Magtheatron Arvolution products, all available at murphonicshometheater.com. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to try to do this as regularly as possible on Thursday nights. Not every Thursday night, but perhaps, again, 2 weeks from now. And we'll get into more detail with the digital movie boards. I'll make sure that I have all of those functions worked out. And call me or email me. Post a note at murphonicshometheater.com. and let me know how I can help you out with your home theater solution. Everybody have a good night. Thanks for tuning in.